thank you all for coming. Ed Ebert gets the points for coming the farthest. He flew back from China and arrived this morning. So Bobby and I will both give him the elbow if he starts nodding off. But this is a very exciting panel because, USDA, again, thank you for offering us to share insights. And the folks on this panel, I have to recognize Signature. Bobby Barrier is now the president, and Ken Mitchell is with Universal Textiles Technology, their sister company. But really, this stakeholders dialogue would not have happened without their companies. They were with us at the very first one in October of 2002. We did this in Washington, D.C. for the first time. And you guys made doormats that said America can stand on soy. And they were presented to the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, as well as the EPA Administrator, the Assistant Secretary for Department of Energy. So you've been with the soybean farmers for a very long time, and we appreciate the insights that you bring on the path forward today. So we're going to let Ed Ebert also share Indiana Soybean Alliance. You just heard what they've been investing in, but not just the student programs. Indiana Soybean has their own concrete sealer that you'll hear more about. And we've got architects in the room who've been conversing around concretes used in a lot of construction of a lot of things, not just roads. So we're going to have Ed share with us. And then last but certainly not least, Kim Falkenhayn came from Buford, Georgia, but really excited to have your marketing experience. Okabashi has been featured on Google, and you've got some interesting push with Target now that I hope you'll share about. So we've asked each of these folks to talk about the opportunities that you see, but let's start with, why the opportunities brought you here today and why this was worth flying back from China.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. Fortunately, I never got on Chinese time, so I slept about 5 hours while I was in China. So it's been a great experience coming back. No jet lag, but tired. But I think the New Uses program, and you heard about the Purdue competition that we've been sponsoring now for many years, is a tribute to our farmers and their foresight in looking always towards the future and increasing demand for their products. And our board members have given us a very specific challenge here, particularly here in the last 2 years with trade disruptions and disputes, which are clear. Move the pile. We need to find new uses for soybeans. Biodiesel was mentioned earlier as being a fantastic innovation, particularly when we decided to do away with trans fats in our diets. So, biodiesel came along at the right time and certainly in the right kind of volumes. You'd mentioned 8.2 billion pounds of use this year. It ramps up 6% next year to 8.7 billion pounds, according to USDA. So, again, that's a great story of demand, but we think certainly with our latest product that we have, that we're promoting here today is a concrete sealant, which is a game changer in terms of product development and its use. It's kind of strange, but most people don't think about protecting concrete. But you do if you live in the north, where it freezes and thaws every year. And once it starts to go, it's amazing how fast that happens. So it's a new product, it's a brand new use, and that's what we're finding extraordinarily challenging, particularly within our own state. We've had this product basically came about by the Indiana Department of Transportation going to Purdue University and saying, we've got a problem with the current way that we join concrete together in seams, backer rods and silane and latex sealants that we put on those joints. And so Purdue came to the Soybean Alliance and said, we think we've got an opportunity here to create some demand for you guys and have a new use for a product. So the bottom line is working with Purdue University, providing the research dollars that were necessary to get this product run through testing and created basically in the laboratories at Purdue University. We've now got a ready go-to-market product. You can pull out your phone right now and order it off of the web at Home Depot. So bottom line is we found that extraordinarily challenging to get from the point of research to getting that product out into the marketplace. Because we're a checkoff organization, we're about promotion, education, and research. And actually taking a product to market is hard for us for a lot of different reasons. We're small in relative terms. It's certainly challenging to get it through the bureaucratic maze. And this is what I would pass along to to our USDA folks that are here today. It's been hard for us to get it through the Indiana Department of Transportation. They're probably at the management level in NDOT, probably less than 50 people. So we know where they work. Now imagine how difficult it would be to launch a product nationally across the federal government system when we're in Indiana and trying to figure out how to find those touch points within a massive federal system. So that's the kind of help that we would need if you're looking at it from a rural development perspective, or whether you're talking about actually getting that product accepted across the larger marketplace. So it's been a lot of fun. Certainly, as you just heard from the Purdue student that's here with us today, it's interesting. At an ag school, you'd think all the people participating in a soybean contest would be ag students. They are the vast minority. She's in food science. One of our other co-creators of this product is electrical engineering. The third one's at the Krannert School of Business, studying marketing and data analytics. So bottom line is it's not about ag particularly. It's about the thought. It's about the idea. And that's what that contest and that's what our association with Purdue University has given us over the years. So.
And Bobby, you've got the marketing experience. My goodness. You've been with the big names of DuPont and Mohawk for decades now. Not that we're old or anything, but it's experience on the marketing side. So tell us about the opportunities from your perspective.
Thank you. And first of all, I'd like to just tell you how much our company appreciates the opportunity to be here with you today. As Karen mentioned, our company's been doing this, incorporating bio-based components into our products for nearly 20 years, but not a lot of people may have known about that. And as she talks about, the marketing and the sales execution behind all of that, one of the things that we're focused on as a company is to try to tell that story. Many commercial manufacturers have developed sustainability platforms. And it's still very important in our marketplace today. There are companies that have preference for manufacturers that can enable, assist, or provide components that they may not have in supplying products to their social responsibility platforms, their environmental responsibility platforms. But one of the things that we want to do is to be able to incorporate this more prominently in our marketing and our go-to-market strategies. So your logo, BioPreferred, that's a very important trademark that we as manufacturers can use to help you find us. The other parts around that is incorporating these components into our own sustainability platform and our social responsibility platforms. Many of you had a chance to visit one of our facilities yesterday in North Georgia. We are a company of almost 3,000 employees right there in the North Georgia area. So you talk about rural development and economic development. Our employees count on us every day to sell these products. And it's an extremely important thing to do. And one of the things that Karen had asked that I share a little bit more about, we've had some great successes working with the federal agencies. One of our programs, we did the entrance mats, if you will, at the Pentagon. I think the gentleman referenced some of that with our company earlier. We've done projects at the U.S. Patent Office. And we do that outside of our normal go-to-market. We are a commercial flooring company that primarily focuses our efforts in hospitality, hotel, motel, restaurant, and the senior care markets. And so we have found ourselves, by virtue of some of our sister companies and the products that they bring to market, have the ability to go into these new market segments, which create more demand, if you will, for the soy products, create more jobs, create more opportunities for the farmers. So I would just share with you some of the challenges that we faced as well. One is understanding those touch points. It's been mentioned a couple of times. So if you're thinking about how do we help each other navigate and create demand for these types of products, the touch points are extremely important to us. Very difficult to navigate a lot of governmental agencies. The other part of it is, I love the BioPreferred program, but I really wish it said BioCommit. In other words, put those purchases, put that power behind it. We had a gentleman earlier, Alan, who shared with you a little bit about, what could it mean to a plant if you just put 5% of your purchases behind something. It's tremendous. I don't think you understand the leverage that you really, really do have in terms of solving some of these challenges that we as manufacturers, as domestic producers face in our economies. It's tremendous what you can do. And I would also say the last thing before I turn it over to my colleagues here, no matter how big, no matter how small, a lot of things are smaller in nature that add up to a very large opportunity. I would love to be able to go back and do things at the patent office, but I would put that door entry mat at any government installation tomorrow if I had that opportunity and if I could find the way to do so. Those smaller ripple effects add up to bigger things. So please keep those things in mind. We're all shooting for that next great thing, but there are tremendous successes to be had here, and we're here to support driving that for the future.
Kim, do you want to take it from there? Sure. We do want to make sure before you leave today, Bobby mentioned the marketing. Angie Carter is here with Signature. She does a great job of marketing, and we were able to do strategic planning on Lewis Bainbridge's farm and see the video in the back that you guys now took to New York City. And thank you for doing that kind of partnership to try to help tell this story. But obviously, we have a lot of room to grow. And Kim, you come at this from a very different perspective from the footwear industry, where you guys are really pioneers too.
Yep, absolutely.
You want to just use that one? Flip up.
All right, my name's Kim Falkenhayn. I came up down here from Buford, not too long of a drive. We have a footwear factory up in Buford, Georgia, Okabashi Brands. Been there since 1984, so we're celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. Pretty excited about that. Still family owned. We're on the third generation now. So my role there is as president, and my focus is really on our manufacturing and operations, although I do get in on the product development, marketing side of things too, as you might imagine. So a few years back, we got a little tired of trying to jump ahead and leapfrog ahead of Prop 65 compliance when it came to putting different phthalates listed, and we just dropped entirely out of that and went a couple generations ahead and switched to bioplasticizer. This kept us, now we don't even have to worry about the list at all, and it's a great story, and the product works really well. So we have most of our products, our flip-flops and sandals, are now BioPreferred certified. It's about 2/3 of the product lineup, and our goal is to complete the rest of them by the end of 2020. We already have a roadmap for it, so we should be able to do that. So the products that are listed now are all a minimum of 34% derived from soy oil, which is a very cool story. It's a lot of fun to be able to tell people, yeah, it's a flip-flop, but it's actually made of soy too. Isn't that neat? And it's recyclable too. So we're really big into the circularity of it, because apparel and footwear are not generally something that people think of as being recyclable, or something that's circular. And we actually recycle all of our scraps and regrind, and everything that goes wrong in the factory, like runners and everything. We grind it back up and reuse it. But we also accept shoes back. If a customer wants to send them back to us, first we'll verify they're from the generation where we switched to the soy-based plasticizer, and then we'll grind it up and reuse it. And if not, they get turned into a mat by somebody else. So we're very cognizant of making sure that everything's Prop 65 compliant, and we know exactly what's inside of it, because we want to keep our whole supply chain U.S. based, where we know exactly what materials are going into it. So I guess some of the things that I wish there was a little bit bigger recognition of the biopreferred label. The way we talked about comparing it to, say, the organic label on food, which is so well known now. And I hope that we can get more of that recognition from the end consumer, the person shopping at Target or CVS, but also the corporate buyers, the people we're speaking to try to sell a program in and saying, no, this is a superior product. You should put this on your shelves and not the stamped imported foam flip-flops instead. So we're usually explaining to them, no, this is what this means. And we also recognize it's kind of an unusual category. Flip-flops is not a listed category for biopreferred. I understand why. It's okay. There's not a lot out there. But that, and we'd just love to find other entry points for bigger markets. Our biggest growth this year, and we are expecting over 50% volume growth, which is huge for us. We're going to be we were already in Targets nationwide this year, but we are expanding into the men's section. So sorry guys, we only had women's footwear this year, but we're going to have men's next year. So that's going to be a really big entry point for us. And then we're also working on developing lines of children's footwear too. So we are excited to bring even more soy-based shoes out to the market.
And you're trying to push the percentage too, right?
Yes,
you're trying to get that
definitely.
percentage higher. You want to talk about that supply chain approach that you're doing?
Yes. So our goal is to get the soy content across the board up to 45%, and we are looking at whether there's the ability to use, besides the plasticizers, some of the lubricants, switch those out, and then possibly a biofiller, which might be polysaccharide instead, but to get the total content over 50% for bio content. So we're doing a lot of R&D. That is one of the challenges that we find, that on the R&D side, the scientists are doing amazing things with coming up with new R&D and new technologies. And we're seeing the demand. The customers are interested in it. But a lot of the big commodity producers of the polymers, the plastics, they really want to see these huge opportunities from the get-go, 5 million pounds for year one. And, it's a little chicken and egg. You have to get that out in the market first, and then we can find the customer when the technology exists. So commercializing it has been a little bit of a difficult point for us.
Okay, good to know. Ken?
Yes.
Ken Mitchell has been with Universal Textiles Technology now for
18 months.
18 months, but your experience with bio-based materials goes far,
Yeah, a long time.
way back.
Yeah, so I've been with Universal about 18 months, and I came from the polyurethane industry. So I've been formulating polyurethanes with bioproducts and petroleum products for better part of 30 years, I suppose. And one of the things that we found when I got to UTT was we've been using this product for a long, long time. And when we first launched in the early 2000s, it was an older version of a soy polyol that when we made the pad or the coating for the carpet and then unrolled it into a room and then left the room and came back in, it smelled like a pasture. So you're trying to figure out why is this stuff smelling so bad, and it's because there were some ways that that hadn't been developed yet for stripping and improving those products, and then people start to talk about, well, petroleum is a better product overall, and the bio products are not that very good, the durability, those types of things. All of those have been overcome and even overshadowed in most cases by some of the technology that some of the big chemical companies have done, Cargill and Biobased before that. I would say that as we try to continue to grow our business, not only with Bobby and other companies, we're trying to explore new areas and thinking about how can we take these products to shoe and sole applications? How can we take these products to insulation applications? How can we take these products into better coating applications? So we're trying to figure those types of things out, and it kind of brought my question earlier around the architects that are specifying for the USDA housing. What could we do there that would be a product that would help not only get a bio product on the floor, but also maybe increase the amount of insulation value for it, which then it reduces electrical costs and things like that. So just trying to think of how we get it to the next step, and then who do we talk to? So when you hear numbers from the Department of Defense that are just staggering numbers, how do you get your foot in that door to go talk to them? a few years ago when the petroleum prices were shooting through the roof, and there was a big push for people to start using green. Let's use these renewable products. And as soon as the petroleum prices came back down and the soy products or the other bioproducts kind of stayed levelized, everybody said, well, let's just go back to petroleum because it's cheaper. So yeah, but this is a better product. It's better for you. It's better whatever. Nobody will pay 1 penny more for green. They don't care. They want green. It's in their heart. It's in their minds. It's in their love. They're not going to pay a penny more for it. So it seems to me that we've got to figure out a way to help sell that story that this is not only the right thing for the American farmers, for the American economy, for the environment and everything else, but also how do we get it launched and get that understanding out there with people from an advertising marketing campaign and get that bio-preferred label really sped up.
Thanks. And the public-private partnership, the new language in the Farm Bill, thinking about the fact that the ideas you're talking about, we have other Grant Osvig, Demilec, you've got a table back there. We've got Richard Poindexter, Columbia Forest Products. There's a lot of housing. There's a lot of potential collaboration amongst people in the room. And I don't know if this is an opportunity for USDA to pursue coming together. And that kind of comes back to Ed Ebert, because you've done a lot of work with promotion of U.S. soybean products through export programs led by the Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agriculture Service. You and Kim are both exporting your products. Are there lessons learned about potential public-private partnerships like a market access program or something like that could help you in that side?
Well, sure. That's one of the reasons why I was in China. Not necessarily to sell a lot of soybeans to them right now, but to reiterate the U.S. farmers' desire to maintain these relationships, keep that door open to them, to let them know we still want to be a partner with them. And certainly, as soon as we get resolution on this trade dispute, then we want to be back in business with them again. And that's the unique thing about the soy family. When you look at USB, the QSSBs, like I'm with Indiana Soybean Alliance, and also the other organizations internationally, like United States Soybean Export Council. And a unique way that we leverage those kind of relationships can be summed up in what's been going on in the Republic of Korea or South Korea, which is the farmers have invested, in addition to all these other new uses, they've also invested a lot of money in something called High-Oleic soybean oil, which is a really good product in terms of its nutritional functionality and its capabilities as a oil. Well, Korea just happens to be the number one oil importer of U.S. soybean oil on the planet. And in addition, so we went over there and we're working with them on High-Oleic soybean oil. But this product that we've got, which is this concrete sealant, is like 97% soy methyl ester, which is another word for biodiesel. So using those same contacts that USEC has in Korea, we were able to get this product into Korea, and the South Koreans are looking at our concrete sealant as we speak right now. So, I mean, it's leveraging those kinds of resources within our own organizations that I think makes that formidable in terms of being able to find those markets. So now we just got to figure out how to use that within our own government, and it'll be a lot easier for us. So bottom line is that's just a small example of a success story where you can use those touch points and those relationships that you have. And certainly the closer that we can build our relationships here with those in this room today, I think the better off we all are.
And Kim, you're working. Tell us your export story.
So we do export some of our shoes. The Okabashi line, which is our resort and spa line, is especially popular in Asia, which might surprise you because more shoes are made in Asia than anywhere else in the world. But the Made in America story really resonates there. We've seen a lot of interest in the spa industries, though, on the green aspects, the recyclability, the soy content. And that really, it resonates with our spa customers, our resort customers, because they're trying to be greener. And you see that when you stay at a resort, whether, it's how they reuse the water or, eco-friendly soaps and so forth. So we're definitely seeing interest there, primarily resort and spa, I would say.
Okay. So if USDA's Foreign Agriculture Service were to support a trade mission or something like that around bio-based materials, would that be helpful, either one of you two?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. Obviously, it's already in consumer products that are right here in front of us with these tires. I mean, we're already demonstrating that one of the toughest consumer markets on the planet to compete in, which is the United States, is already accepting these products. So, yeah, I would think that would be extraordinarily helpful. Particularly with close by, like we were talking earlier, Goodyear's North and South America with these. You have tremendous markets right here on, just on the Americas continents. So,
Bobby, any additional thoughts? Again, I don't want to let you get off the stage without those years of marketing experience being tapped into.
There we go. Yeah. I think from a marketing standpoint, when you look at the bio-preferred label, that is your trademark. I think, as our colleagues were talking about the organic label, you need to drive the compliance of using that logo and demanding that on the things that are crossing each of your departments, desks, whatever that is. You need to make that more important because that is you're going to be able to give you the identity, the preference, the awareness of that program into the marketplace. And I would look at it beyond just the federal agencies. Many of the markets that we compete in the greater commercial flooring market, we're competing against programs such as Green Label Plus, Declare labels, for Prop 65. There's several different certification marks that are out there. Yours has every bit as much collateral to it than any of those other certification marks that are out there. I would encourage you to take a look at how you can drive that awareness and preference for that mark. It'll find its way into other markets, other opportunities outside the federal agencies, which will create more opportunity and more demand and open up more market access.
Questions from the audience? We don't want to miss the opportunity to think about, are there other people in this room that you've met today that, we should reconvene together and explore potential collaboration? Are there follow-ups that we're going to need as a result of what you've already heard today?
I just want to add one comment. Karen's talking about the opportunities to network and to socialize. So, we came here today, but after I heard the speakers today, after I've been able to introduce myself to a couple of people there in the audience, the opportunity to network with a group of individuals like this in the room, I mean, we got to find a cocktail hour or something to be able to socialize and get to know one another from my standpoint. But I would just say this as a PSA. Our company are looking for partners to help us. We've diversified our product offering over the last couple of years as the flooring market has shifted from soft to hard surface-type products. That gives us yet another opportunity to look at how we incorporate soy or cornstarches or other biomaterials into our products. And I would just say that, if you are a supplier, potential supplier to something that can help us expand the use of that soy material or other biomaterials into our products, just like, I looked at all the applications that Ford was pursuing. I had no idea. We're not looking deep enough or hard enough. So these kind of partnerships or technology transfers or things like that to help us leverage capabilities are going to be extremely important.
Kim?
I'd echo that. I think it's important for us to get together and talk about some of these things. As I listen to some of the speakers today on the Goodyear tire and adding 12 ounces worth, drops the glass transition temperature, which makes it softer in cold environments. I think about that in my own marketplace and what could I do shifting the glass transition, even if it's a foam cushion, that it could be softer at a lower temperature. And then you start expanding that into mattresses and pillows and things like that. And then we talk about high oleic. That could be a problem for manufacturing, because now you can't convert it into the base polyols that we use for polyurethanes with the current equipment that's out there now. So are we looking at the whole circle from growing the soybean for a food purpose as well as for an industrial purpose to make sure that we're growing them the right way and we don't diversify them too much at the end of the day?
Karen, we have a question back here.
It's a comment/question. Shanna Trout, NASA contractor. My comment is in regards to looking at the system as a whole, and it's back to the term I've been seeing in industry coming out called sustainable material management. And so it's the beginning of the life of a material, but then also considering the end of the life at the same time. I've heard that echoed quite a bit. So what I saw also in the Ford demonstration, the products that they are using are really waste. You might consider them waste, but they're really a resource. They're not a waste. So I would encourage those of you that are making those statements like, where should we be getting our products from? Look in your local area, what is being disposed of? Go, make contacts with the solid waste departments. Find out what's going in the landfill that there's too much of. And if you can start diverting some of those out of the waste stream, then you get that full circle of the sustainable materials management.
Actually, we have one of our licensees of our technology in the room today, and they're already using recycling in terms of the polystyrene component of this product with concrete sealant. So that's good on them. We have another licensee that uses virgin material, but it's those are the kinds of thoughts that I agree with that you have to really complete the circle.
But how do we get people, if it's on the list, how do we get people to actually buy? And I think, Bobby, you touched on that earlier. Just having a list is never going to move the needle for you unless I'm misinterpreting what I've been hearing.
Oh, I think that's great. Many of us as manufacturers assume that it would get on the GSA schedule. It's kind of like if you build it, it'll come. That's really not the way it works. Talking about past successes and failures, it really is about the effort that's applied. We certainly believe that's an important part of it, to be qualified to be able to be on the schedule. But once you get on the schedule, you got to really work it. You got to find those points of connection. So the ability to navigate the organization is really important. But the other part of it that I just want to go back to, this bio-based economy that we're talking about, it follows fundamental market principles, and it's all driven around demand. Demand drives investment. Demand drives product and innovation. Demand drives profitability for reinvestment and expansion. Again, I made the comment earlier, I'd like to see it kind of shift, and I know it can't, but from bio-preferred, i.e., I like it, and if it was my preference, I would do it, but in practice, buy it. Buy as much of it as you can. It's a great product. These products are there, so how do we find ways to make that more meaningful and more to create that opportunity?
Got a question back here.
Thanks, Mike. Actually, just a comment. I've spoken with a lot of you. I'm a communications contractor with the United Soybean Board, and I was thinking about a marketing angle. There's a couple 100,000 U.S. soybean farmers, and part of what I do for USB is communicate with them about what they're getting out of their checkoff investment. So if there's some of these products that they might be wanting to buy or use on their farm, I can't think of a better devoted audience. So if you haven't talked to me or I haven't talked to you, I'm sure my contact information will be on the meeting information, but that's a great audience, and we'd love to tell the story of all this awesome technology to the people growing it.
Yes, I'm just curious how you communicate, or do you all communicate, even if you don't necessarily have a retail product, how do you communicate with the consumer? Say I'm a consumer that has not had the advantage of being able to participate in this meeting. If I went to your website, how would I know the content and what the bio-based everything is about? If I wanted to just Google, and I have done that actually, Googled bio-based products, bio-based clothing, things. I wanted to try to find some type of bio-based article of clothing or scarf or something to wear to this meeting. And there's really, maybe I'm not a good Googler, but there's really not a lot out there. How are we reaching out to that end user that ultimately the consumer, whether or not you buy a fleet of tires or something like that for a fleet, there's an individual somewhere that's making a decision. How can we reach them?
All right, I'll jump in on consumer since we do a lot both direct to consumer and then going to Target, and we've worked with their marketing team, speaking directly to their consumers. And it's a delicate balance because people do still have this idea that if it's bio-based, does that mean it is going to break down? Does that mean it's not going to last as long? So we really have to go first and foremost with it's really durable and it's bio-based and kind of bring those two things together. And then the next question is, how much of a premium am I paying for it all the time? So we have a pretty value-priced product. Our Okabashi line's mostly around $20, not crazy expensive, but it's still a concern for customers. So we have to, instead of just saying these little individual things about the product, build a whole story about it and build a story about the company and get people a little more emotionally invested in the story and how we came to this. And that's where people start to feel some loyalty to your brand and they want to come back and buy again because they see it as more than just a product on a shelf. They need to feel something about it. It needs to resonate with them. I don't know how that translates to flooring quite as much as shoes, but
very similar in a way. I mean, we go to market through, we have sales representatives that are across the country. They interact with architects and designers every day. There's a lot of things that are being driven by the U.S. Green Building Council, LEED programs, for example. Many of you may be familiar with that. And so we're very familiar with that because that becomes part of how we show, local source, sustainable content or recyclable content. There are some key trigger points that they're asking for around what's the makeup or composition of your product. Then also the certification programs. It's a lot of the details around our product are communicated at that, face-to-face selling where we talk about, our product is Green Label Plus, our product is LEED certified, and our product is also USDA bio-preferred. And they'll ask and they'll engage about what is that. So we try to drive that through our marketing, through our sustainability efforts around our corporate sustainability programs, and also it's in our product specifications.
I got a comment. This is Dave Osceola from DoD. So going back to one of your questions about how we can get better, at least sales to the federal government, once you do get on GSA schedule, or in the case of DLA, get a national stock number, we do have DoD EMAL and the GSA Advantage systems, which were supposed to be marking these products with some sort of symbol that designates that they're a sustainable product, whether it's a green tree in the case of DLA EMAL, or I think GSA Advantage actually has specific emblems for each one of the sustainable criteria, sustainability product criteria. That would be one way, but we got to make sure we can follow through on that. Secondly, well, there's two more things that could help, I think, really drive this. So we started the product demonstration program just to get rid of the myths that these things don't work as well. I tried it 25 years ago, this recycled content paper, and it gummed up my machine. That stuff. People still think that, so that's why we want to prove to our folks that they do really work. And in many cases, they work better. But the real challenge for us, at least in the federal government, is we realize, our funding comes from taxpayers. So we don't make a profit with zero-sum game. So it's hard for us when we have a defined budget, the president's budget, to say, okay, installation commander, I'm taking these products, they work great, they even work a little bit better than current ones, and they're green, they're sustainable, but yet they cost us a little bit more. Now, our policy in DoD is you will buy, it's DoD policy that you will buy sustainable products if they're available, they perform, and their cost competitive. But the commanders of the installation saying, well, my budget's so, and I don't have enough to, I got 10% cut this year. It's hard for me to spend more money on these, even though I know the life cycle costs are better. It's really hard for me to justify, spending those dollars, especially since they're taxpayer resources. So the more that we, I think, get the industry moving in this direction, I think economies of scale, I think, will hopefully kick in, and then we'll see the price go down. But what we really need is to show us, the performance. If I have that kind of data, I can say we're not buying it because we want to be green or sustainable. We're buying it because it's better for our mission. It's going to help us do our jobs better, and I think that's going to be really helpful going forward. So that's the kind of information I think we could really use.
Bobby, back to your comment a little while ago about you use the BioPreferred program or you're part of the BioPreferred program and you talk about it to your customers. I think a good push-pull would be that if USDA could do maybe a different job or a better job of promoting the BioPreferred program too, that a lot more people knew about it, that when you're talking about it and they're talking about it at the same time, that you get a lot more customers out of it.
So, I always like to say that you have to have great chemistry in your products, but you also have to have great chemistry with people. So, can we cultivate this network? Can we cultivate this conversation a little bit more to keep it alive? There's nothing I want to do spending soybean farmer dollars on a once and done event. So recommendations to keep this identification of opportunities and obstacles moving forward.
Well, we've had a really learning experience with Indiana Department of Transportation. And I think what it takes persistence and a desire to see an outcome that benefits our farmers. And I think USDA and our checkoff organizations both support that wholeheartedly to make our farmers successful and to create additional demand for their product. So the incentive is there. I was there 2 years, it's been longer than that. 2016 with another, we had 2 students from Purdue that year that went up and met the Secretary of Agriculture there at the administration building. So, Indiana Soybean Alliance and other checkoff organizations have been in this new uses game for years. Ours is this will be our 26th year now. So, the desire and the persistence is there. It's just, again, how do we, keep this going? The way that we're going to keep it going is we've got a product that works. It's cheaper than other products, and it works better. So it's the better mousetrap, right? So why isn't the world beating a path to your door? That's what's frustrating about it. And so, part of our solution is maybe we just need to charge more for it. And then maybe they'll recognize the premium nature of the product. Sure. But bottom line is I think when you have something to commercialize, whether it's carpet backings or materials, et cetera, I think that's what continues to drive people forward in terms of engagement. And certainly meeting you today has also been extraordinarily helpful for us to know who to talk to, or at least who the bosses are.
I think it's fairly straightforward for us as a manufacturer. We have products, and we're trying to find those products route to market. And having the ability to network with individuals here in this room, I'm certain we can keep the conversation alive as it relates to floor covering. There's almost floor covering in every building and facility that I can think of in some way, shape, or form. So that opportunity is there. We just have to take advantage of it.
Well, we're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to keep pushing for circularity in footwear and keep explaining to our customers what the BioPreferred program is. I hope as much education as we can get out there about the benefits of replacing, petroleum-based products with soybean oil and how much better it is for the environment, and also an understanding for consumers about how sustainably grown soybeans are in the U.S. because there are concerns. It's the U.S. farming is much more sustainable than some other countries. So I think if that information is propagated more and it's more well known by the consumers, that will also help. And also, if there's an opportunity to be the first flip-flop that makes it to the moon, my NASA friends, I'm right here. I'm ready to give it to you.
We could also carpet the shuttle too.